people are acting on a whole nother level on that. So can't wait to see that karma train coming through. Choo-choo. Mood of the day. Really? You gotta give us more credit than that. Some people, buckle up, buttercup. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Welcome back, everyone, to Mona's Take. I am your host, Mona Rose, and we are here to talk about everything reality TV. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything I have coming up. Today we're going to talk about Real Housewives of New Jersey, the final reunion, Reunion 3, or Part 3. And what we might see on next season. I'm already ready for the new season. I don't like this shortened season. I know a lot of people do. I particularly don't. I think there was more to be had. There was more to be seen. But this is what we got. First thing I noticed is, when they all started picking their gowns for the reunion, there was pictures all over Instagram of Tracy Barber in her gown. She posted pictures on her Instagram of the day of the taping and her being on the couch. We never saw that. So they cut that out, which tells me that she's probably not going to be back next year. She didn't really add a whole lot to the show other than someone who was trying to pick at Teresa. Other than that, she really didn't add a lot. But still, I've heard rumors of the new Bravo contracts they started doing after Nene and a few other of the housewives in different franchises would not show up to tape an event, walk off the stage, do all of this. So they put in the contracts now that they don't get paid if they don't air in an episode. So Tracy and her husband were there on set. Andy said himself it was 13-hour taping, which means they had to have been there at least 16 hours. Because they have to get there at 6 in the morning and they have to do the glam squad, and that takes a few hours, I'm sure. So she was there and didn't get her reunion bonus, from what I'm hearing. If that's the case, I don't think that's right. I think if they show up to tape and you just choose not to put them in, then they should still get paid. In my opinion, that's why I don't run the show, I'm sure. Excuse me, you're going to hear me clearing my throat because I'm still not over my allergies, I know. Southern Louisiana does not like me. So, I don't think that we'll see her back next year. Maybe if she had her own storyline and they were dealing with just her, other than her trying to just go after Teresa, basically, and that's all that I think her and Tiki were good for, was to go after Teresa and Louis. And it didn't land well. Okay. Louis answered some of the questions that we've all been asking the entire season. I don't buy it. I don't buy his explanations. I think that he tries to be a smooth talker. I think that Teresa is going to be in for a world hurt. I may be wrong. But Andy asked him some questions. And at the end of that, he let everyone know, against Teresa's wishes, that it be brought up. But he was let go from his position. A company that he started, and he was asked to step down because of all the negative press. Last night I watched What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, and he had the husbands on there. And I'm going to tell you, I enjoyed that more than I've enjoyed anything on Real Housewives of New Jersey this year. They were funny. They were straightforward. But Andy asked Louis if he had gotten a new job now. You know, because this reunion, I think, taped, 3 or 4 weeks ago now? I think about 4 weeks ago now is when they taped the reunion. And he asked Louis if he'd got a new job. And he said, not as of yet. So to me, that's another red flag. She's still saying that she is not going to sign a prenup. And if she does not sign a prenup, she deserves everything she gets. But according to all the reports, he's worth millions. So having, I guess, stepped down from a position is not like you or I losing a job, where we got to find something immediately. So I guess he does have a little cushion, but with all these lawsuits, that may be going away pretty quick. Andy asked about the domestic violence complaint. Now, what he said about the domestic violence complaint is he said, I'm sure all of you men out there that have gone through a divorce and a custody battle have gotten in an argument with your ex and she's called the police. I can say my last 2 exes, I never called the police on them. I don't think at all, ever. So that was his excuse, that they just got in an argument and that she called the police. And that's how he got the domestic abuse or domestic violence. Which I don't think it's just an argument that you're going to get any kind of domestic abuse charges. The road rage incident, he did not address. However, I did find it this morning, and apparently there was a guy that stopped because there was a turtle or some sort of animal on the road, and a guy in front of him stopped to let it pass or whatever. And it pissed Louis off, and so he went around him and the guy flipped him off when he went around him. So he stopped and was beating on the guy's window, and the guy rolled his window down. He knocked his hat off. So he ended up getting charged for disturbing the peace. He pled guilty to disturbing the peace instead of assault. And that is public record. But he didn't address that. The video. He says that his partner was going to this retreat and said, hey, I'm going to this retreat. Why don't you go with me? And I said, okay. And then when you get there, they like really pressure you to reconcile instead of break up. I was trying to break up with her, but they convinced me that I needed to reconcile with her, and that's what you were seeing. I'm not buying it, guys. I'm not buying any of this crap. He was asked about if he thought that Margaret was the reason for all this stuff coming out. And Teresa right away tried to cut the question off and say, of course it was Margaret. And Andy asked her, said, Teresa, when you've got an opinion about something, do you ever change your mind? In other words, do you ever see that you're wrong and go, let me think about that for a minute? No, you don't. He says that he doesn't think that it's Margaret's fault. It was out there before. He doesn't think that Margaret had any ill intent. And that he forgave Margaret. He has nothing against Margaret. And the whole time Teresa is rolling her eyes and you can just see she's fuming. There's one common denominator out of all of these accusations, all of these lawsuits that are filed. And that's Louis. I'm sorry, if everyone is against you, it might be you. Just saying. Louis does get up as they're leaving, and he goes over to talk to Margaret, and Margaret says, look, I really wasn't trying to bring you down. I was saying that you needed to get ahead of it, because I know how it is when you're on reality TV and you've got something like that. You need to get ahead of it because it's going to come out. That's all I was trying to do. I don't wish you and Teresa any ill. I wish you all the happiness in the world. And they've actually got a hold of each other's arms. And Louis saying, I know, I agree. But then as they start to walk off, Teresa loses it again. If I had taken a drink for every time this season that Teresa said this was all Margaret's fault, I'd be an alcoholic by now. I'm serious. This woman does not give up at all. And Louis goes over and he's trying to calm her down, and he's telling her to please stop. And you can tell that Louis is a newbie because he's whispering, thinking that the microphones aren't going to pick it up. The microphones pick up everything. I mean, this camera that I'm using, it's nowhere near the type of equipment that they have. But if I turn my ceiling fan on, you're going to hear it the whole time. These microphones and those microphones, they pick up everything. So he is trying to whisper in her ear and telling her to calm down and stop. Just stop, Teresa. You're going to regret this. Just stop. And he said, you'll regret doing this later, is what he said. Now, a lot of people are saying that could be taken as he was threatening her, you're going to pay for this later. No, I don't think that. I think that he honestly was telling her, you're acting like a fool, you're acting like an ass, and you're going to regret it when it's over with. Calm down. I honestly think that that's what he was doing. Frank talks about Polly, which is Dolores' new boyfriend. He compares him, tells him, or he calls him Buzz Lightyear. Said he looks like Buzz Lightyear. Which pissed Dolores off. And he says that they don't see eye to eye. And I can understand that. Not too many men are going to feel comfortable with that type of relationship that Dolores and Frank have. The closeness that they have. But not only that, he's living with her other ex, David, that she just broke up with. And I don't think that very many men would be comfortable when they start dating a woman and find out that her and her ex-husband and children live together. And then she tells Frank, you got to do something else because this isn't going to work. Polly doesn't like this. Yada, yada, yada. So he moves in with David, her other ex. And he's dating Louis' ex. It's crazy. And I saw an interview that Kim D did with Up and Adam last week. And from what I understand, Kim D and Dolores are still really good friends. And they talk every day. And she says that as long as Frank is still having a relationship with David, that she doesn't see him and Polly getting along. I can see that. But she says she doesn't think that they're ever going to get along unless David's out of the picture. Dolores tells Frank that not everyone thinks that his jokes are funny when he's making fun of Polly. And he's like, what? It's a joke, da-da-da-da. And Dolores says, look, Frank, not everyone thinks your humor is funny. And Dolores was pissed the rest of the reunion after that. You could clearly see that she was upset. She says that Polly will film with her next year because she says, I don't know if I want him to, but if I want him to, he will because he'll do anything for me. I see conflict between him and Frank. That may be Dolores' storyline for next year. Dolores and Polly might be the new Teresa and Louie. I think it would be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out. Margaret and Jen seem to make amends. They talk and Margaret tells her, look, I honestly did not think that you were going to be hurt by that. You've been the villainess for 4 years. I thought you were going to be like, you're lying, bitch, and, whatever. And she's like, and, at first I thought you were just really playing this up, but then I realized that you were really hurt to the core, and I would have never done that had I known that it would affect you that way. Evan, or even Bill, says that he forgives Margaret and that it's not Margaret's fault, that he's the one that messed up and that he has to pay for his mistakes. He said, yes, at first he was upset because his children were upset. He said the older ones were disappointed in him and the younger ones thought mommy and daddy were getting a divorce. And so Margaret did truly apologize for hurting the children. She never intended that. And I think she honestly thought that Jennifer would do like she's always done and deny. I mean, hell, she said something about it last season, if you'll remember, either last season or the season before, when she was talking about Bill sleeping in the pool house. And Bill and Jennifer had already made a pact that if it got brought up, they would deny. Well, Jennifer didn't deny. Nobody expected that. So I think that actually Margaret and Jennifer and Bill are in a better place than what they were. But there, we saw on the trailer that at one point Jennifer was yelling at Bill to effing speak, Bill. Effing speak. Clear the effing air, Bill. Talk. And I assumed at that time that it was going to be about the affair and about her being in a happy marriage. And I think a lot of people did. But it wasn't. It was actually about Frank bringing up that she was digging. Evan was questioned about the comment that he made about Bill being an accessory. And he said, honestly, I had to ask for Bill's forgiveness because I know he was going through a rough time and I wasn't the friend that I needed to be at the time. And he looked at Jennifer and he said, Jen, I've never done anything to you, have I? For you to go trying to dig dirt up on me when I've been nothing but nice. Well, Jennifer got all bent out of shape and said that it wouldn't have come out if Frank hadn't have brought it on the show. And Dolores says, yeah, she thinks that I told you to bring it out. And calls Jennifer an effing see you next Tuesday. Which caught Jennifer off guard, I think. And she's saying that Frank's the one that brought it out, that she had called him. and that she thought it was funny that the only two people that she called to ask about it ratted her out. And what she was yelling at Bill about was to clear the air. Did you not tell me that you heard this from Frank? And so Bill did clear the air and said that him and Frank had been out to dinner, and Frank said that he knew the girl that supposedly was having an affair with Evan. Still have had no proof of any of this. And I still don't believe that to be true. I may be wrong, but I don't. And at that point, Andy says that Jennifer is not concerned. Hold on. Jennifer says that she needs to be vindicated. And Andy tells her, you care that you got caught, not that you were digging. So she wants to be vindicated as to why she was digging. Instead of just saying, yes, I was digging, I shouldn't have been digging, I apologize, I own it. She wanted to be vindicated that it would have never came out if Frank hadn't brought it out. So once again, I think she's going to be another Teresa. She's not going to own anything that she does. Jackie spoke about her journey and said that she thinks that the show saved her this year because she would have, she doesn't think that she could have done the recovery and actually been consistent with it and followed through with it if she didn't have millions of people watching her and looking at her and holding her accountable and making her go through the recovery. So she says if it wasn't for the show, she doesn't think that she would have gotten help. It's still in progress. I don't know. Some people say that she said that just because she knew she was getting demoted. I don't think so. I think it was genuine. I think her and Evan are very genuine. Evan even talks about, it having not to push too hard, but to try to get her help. And he's like, if you have somebody that's got an eating disorder, it's a mental illness. It's something that's going on in their brain that needs to be fixed. And he said, so you can't push too hard. So I think their story was actually how they felt. I don't think it had anything to do with what's going to happen next year. I think this summer we're probably going to get a Teresa and Louise special for the wedding. She's already said that she wouldn't do it on the Housewives, but if she gets a spinoff, 2 or 3 episode, 4 episode show just about her and Louie and the wedding and all that, I think she'll do that because she gets paid for it. That'll pay for the wedding. And I think it was Up and Adam that I was watching this morning, and he said, she's getting paid for doing it, so that'll pay for the wedding. Plus, she can write everything off because it's a business expense. Pre-wedding and make some cash on top of it. Why not? I'm already wanting some more Real Housewives in New Jersey. I do not like this short season. And I've said it, and I'll say it again. I'm already ready for them to come back on. I think they're supposed to start filming sometime around June. So I don't know when we'll get that. I'm sure that, like I said, we'll get the Teresa and Louie wedding spinoff at some point. If we don't, I would be surprised. But to me, it actually looks like Andy's kind of calling Teresa on her stuff now and making her take a look at herself. Still doesn't think she will, but I think that's what he's trying to do. So we'll see how it comes back next season, because the Teresa and Margaret's not going to, it did not get resolved at all. The Teresa and Melissa did not get resolved at all. They haven't spoke since the reunion taped, which is 4 weeks ago or whatever. Melissa says that she feels free now, that she doesn't have to pretend that she's Teresa's friend, because she can do her own thing. Dolores and Jennifer fighting. Dolores and Frank possibly, depending on how this goes with her new man Paulie. You know, Jen and Teresa are like that. They're one person at this point. Every time something was said, whether it be about Jennifer or about Teresa, the other one would chime in. When Bill said something, Evan said something to Jennifer about digging, her and Teresa at the same exact time. Jen said, I wasn't digging, and Teresa said she wasn't digging. At the exact same time. So yeah, they might as well be one person. And like I said, we got 3 new housewives that they say they're going to try out for next season. One was supposed to be a friend of Teresa's, one was supposed to be a friend of Jen's, and I think one was supposed to be a friend of either Melissa or Margaret. I'm not sure. But we'll see how that goes. So that's about all I have for Real Housewives of New Jersey. I hate to see it go. I'm probably going to start covering Real Housewives of Atlanta. I haven't done it because honestly the first couple of shows have not caught me like it usually does. If I can get into it again, I'll be covering that. The Challenge All Stars started. I probably will be doing something on that next week. I'm going out of town this weekend. And I'll have Survivor. I'll do a video on that tonight. Try to get it posted. So, until next time, guys, have a good evening. And as always, much love.